Welcome back, guys, to another episode of Arora, and this is episode number 3. And in this episode, we actually begin work on the main city. We're finally getting some people to move in, maybe. But you may notice a lot of cuts throughout this video. I did end up making this over 3 or 4 sessions, and there was a lot of stuff that I ended up placing then deleting, or just stuff that was kind of boring in general, of me kind of just wandering around, kind of thinking of ideas. So yeah, you may notice a lot of cuts. But to start things off, I am going through my all the buildings that I subscribed to on the Steam Workshop. They're all really fantastic, but I'm trying to figure out which buildings work well for the theme and the kind of look and feel that I'm trying to go for the city. So everything that I'm placing right now is going to end up getting moved around or just replaced or just deleted completely. So just forget all of this from your head. Part of me going through all of these assets was trying to figure out which ones had kind of some problems of popping in and out, because I've had that with a lot of buildings where when I zoom in too close or it kind of pops in. I'm assuming that's because of the LUDs or LEDs. It's also happened with a lot of props as well that I placed down, where at a certain zoom angle they kind of just disappear. If anyone knows what's up with that, let me know. One thing I was kind of worried about is because I'm using so many real life buildings, I thought, I don't know, I guess I thought it wouldn't look very unique, but to be honest, it's kind of hard to find buildings that are this tall in the workshop that still look good. So going with the real life buildings, I don't really mind it that much, to be honest. A lot of these buildings are from, I guess, China. China has some really tall buildings. I think one of my favorite buildings that I've subscribed to is this swirly tower. I think it's the Shanghai Tower. I think that's what it's called. But I have kind of some concerns with using some of these really tall buildings, because when I run compatibility report, I can see that I get some warnings. I get a lot of warnings for a lot of buildings, but for the Shanghai Tower in particular, I get a asset error, which I don't know. I did originally have the 1:1 scaled one, but that one was a bit too tall. And that one, yeah, that was the one that had the warning originally. So I downsized to the 1 to 1.5 scale, and it still has the acid error, but I think it fits my city much better anyways. Though it is a little smaller than what I would like. I would have wanted that to be the tallest building, but now it's like one of the tallest buildings. Again, just placing down everything kind of gives me a good idea of what buildings look good next to each other, what buildings I could combine to make kind of like I guess almost like an apartment complex or office complex all made by one company, something like that. Also, just kind of placing them all down gives me a rough idea of how big the Skyline is. And I think this area that I'm working on right now is a financial district, so it's gonna have like the tallest buildings in the entire city. Though I want a few other pockets of some taller buildings, like some other kind of major like office centers or like apartment like complexes. Over there in the back, you can actually see the 1:1 scale Shanghai Tower, and in this next little cut where I'm going to move everything to the side, you'll see kind of, I'm going to place down the 1 to 1.5 scale one, and you'll see that it works a lot better. I moved everything over to this side just so I could kind of start at one point and kind of work my way out. I could just kind of place them individually and place them in a way that I like. Because I'm having some problems with the camera, when you get near a building, the camera zooms out like a hell of a lot and zooms in like and then just kind of goes back to its original zoom. It's kind of annoying trying to work with that. I'll try finding a mod on the Steam Workshop that kind of like stops the game from doing that, just kind of lets me phase through the buildings or something. But until then, I'm kind of working in like a way where I'm starting in the center, kind of working my way out from there. Some of the cuts throughout this video were me switching into the first person camera and kind of just zooming in and out and going through the city to see what it was like at first person, in a first person view, and to see how tall the buildings were, and if like the city if the city just worked well, like the height was good and everything. But looking at it now from like a first person angle, a lot of these buildings are absolutely massive. Toronto has a lot of tall buildings, but nothing that is this tall. The tallest thing we have is the CN Tower, which is probably like 2/3 of like the tallest building in this city. I did try adding in an alleyway in between some of these buildings, like this road right here, but I couldn't really get it to work well. So I just turned it into a street. It's just having it connect to the main road. It creates the intersection, and I don't know, it just didn't look right. I know I could probably fix it using some road decals and stuff, but I'm not really that comfortable using those yet either. One part that I have been struggling with is making the mid-rises, kind of just the buildings that go in between these really tall buildings. So I do end up building one little, using some default base game assets or base game buildings, and kind of using Move It to connect them into one bigger building. I do try it in just a little bit, but I feel like one thing that would help me quite a lot in this would be the Modern City Centers Content Creator Pack. I feel like those buildings that are in that would work really well, especially using Move It, and kind of just placing them in my own way. And yeah, they would just fill out a lot of these empty areas. As of late, as I walk through Toronto when I'm going to school or coming home from school, I'm always kind of just looking at buildings, kind of looking at their layout, their placement, kind of how tall they are, just to get some ideas. But I do need to find some more mid-rises off the Steam Workshop as well, just kind of like some low-density commercial or high-density commercial in this case, but just some buildings to fill out the area. So I'm going to try looking for some more and better ones. I didn't add in any vehicle props onto this parking garage because I wasn't sure if it would actually be used or not. So once I actually start press play and get some people moving in and see if cars actually park there. If they don't, I'm gonna place down some props just to make it look nicer. One other thing is that a lot of these, there's a lot of concrete, and I'm thinking about placing down kind of the decals with kind of the fancier sidewalk pieces, or just finding some better decals that just make the sidewalk look more imperfect with cracks and stuff. I have a few, but I feel like I need more because they kind of get after placing so many, it's kind of obvious that the same thing is kind of repeated. So I want to try to find some more that work well. This was the first mid-rise I guess I built using Move It. I used all the base game high density plus a few things off the workshop, but I think it came out pretty good. Not that great, but I think it fills out the space pretty well. I think I should have added in a lot more detail in terms of props, maybe some trash cans or benches, or even a lot more billboards on some of the sides of the buildings. When I first started recording a few of these clips, I was having some trouble with prop anarchy because of the update. I had the temporary fix installed, but one other mod that I needed enabled, I didn't have enabled. So there was a little while where I wasn't able to place any props down. I think that was when I was building this. So I kind of just, ignored it because of that. Also, I guess just one other thing one thing I've seen people do on videos is move some props up and down, or particularly decals for roads and cracks, moving them up and down. But I haven't been able to get road decals to go into the surface. So whenever I do place them, they're always really kind of bright and obvious. I kind of want them a little sunken down so they're less noticeable, so it makes it look like it's less used. Again, since these are all freshly off the workshop and I'm placing them off for the first time, and I do have the real population mod installed, I kind of went through a lot of these buildings just checking to make sure how many apartments or how many jobs they have inside of each. Despite me saying that I'm kind of gonna try to work from the center and work my way out, I do leave a few areas empty, like the area right across from the Burj Khalifa, to the right side of this road. I leave that area empty because I want to build, a mall, but an outdoor mall, more of a strip mall, but a high-end one with designer brands and designer companies. And to do that, I want to wait till I purchase the plazas and promenades DLC, just because I feel like that would work really well there. And I don't want to have to rebuild it again later. So yeah, there's a few areas that are empty like that, where I want to place some things. Another area that I left blank for future DLC is in front of the Petronas Towers, the kind of twin tower things. I'm using those as, apartments for my city, but I left that area blank because I want to build a park around it, kind of like a small little community park, or just, an area where it's kind of nice with like some trees. I guess not really anything like Grand Central Park, or Central Park from New York. I want to build something like that, maybe not here, but closer to where people are actually going to be primarily living. But yeah, I'm going to need a Park Life DLC for that. Since I do want people to actually begin moving in soon, I do place a few essential city services like the hospital right here. I also placed down a police and fire station, but I need to find some more off the Steam Workshop because this is a pretty big city, and I kind of lacking variety. I also placed down this library, and across from it, I think the library works pretty well because across from it, I do plan on building the university, or one of the universities for the city. I do want maybe one more kind of out in the countryside, but the primary downtown city university is going to be right across in the library. And one thing that I didn't notice at first was I think the hospital placed down is also supposed to be a university hospital, so that kind of just fits in even better. To fill in this area next to the library, I wanted to place down kind of like just some sort of like little mini park, I guess, almost, or in the end I decided going with this little statue. And from a distance, I thought it was an angel. I didn't realize until I used the first person mod and looked at it closely that it was that it was a skull. So I guess it's more of an angel of death. I don't think it's very appropriate for that to be next to the hospital and near the university, and I guess a public library that even kids could go to. But it still looks cool, and from a distance you can't really tell. And again, here's that swirly Shanghai tower. I placed it down here for now. Not sure if it's gonna be the final placement. We'll see once we start building the university. But for now, it'll go there. And here I do place the one-way road, which is gonna act as an exit to the university. So I do, in the center of the university, kind of want a one-way road going from one of the other roads to this area, and then maybe a few branching roads that are going to like some dorms or some parking lots. And there's the scary statue that I noticed when I was in first person. Everything that I placed down till now is more or less, I think, going to be final. Except for now, I'm just kind of grabbing some other buildings that I have placed on the side and just kind of placing some rough ideas of where I might want to put them. But none of these are set in stone, so they're likely going to move around, especially given some of their size, and I don't want them blocking like the other buildings too much. Yeah, a lot of these buildings are basically just replicas of buildings in Chicago and I guess New York. I'm not sure what this white building is, but I'm fairly sure it's from Chicago. I guess I'm probably gonna, it kind of, with the front entrance canopy over it, it kind of looks like a hotel, so I'm gonna set it as an apartment building. But I would imagine it would be used as a hotel in the city. But there's, just a lot of really tall buildings, and I'm more or less just trying to roughly place them down, figuring out where they might go. I don't just want this to be the only really tall area. I do want some other areas to have some relatively tall buildings. So yeah, I'm trying to see if I should place it here or thinking about placing it somewhere else. This video is pretty short, at least compared to the other episodes of the series. But I think largely because I did end up cutting a lot of it out, and a lot of the stuff that I did do got deleted or redone, and so yeah, those weren't included. But I do, just for the rest of this video, it's more or less just placing down the fire station and police station and doing some light detailing for them. I do need to get some more assets. Like, I didn't have any assets for fire trucks or ambulances, but I did have a decent amount of police car assets. And because I kind of like cars and just stuff like police cars in general, I was kind of really looking at the assets or props that I do have, trying to look at which ones would work well in the city, at least compared to like what I've seen in kind of my local police department. I don't really have anything left to talk about, so I'm just gonna leave you guys there. Enjoy the rest of the video, enjoy the music, and thank you for watching, and have a great day.